I'm starting a new set of paintings for a big art show I'm doing in Wales. It's at the Wales Museum next year. My theme is recycled materials. For the first part of the painting I'm going to use warm colours which will radiate through the canvas and radiate to the finished painting. So what I'm going to do at the moment is start painting. I'm using acrylic paints. I'm using orange and yellow to create that lovely warm glow for the painting. I'm using a brush with horsehair, so mixing the water. So this is what you call the killing off the canvas. So you already you can see how that I'm brushing from left to right, and also I'm using the grain of the wood to create that lovely feeling of warmth and serenity. Again, it's a simple blend of colours. If I'm normally on canvas, I normally use the same principle, so it kills off the canvas, so there's no white seeping through. Some artists will use black colours, but I prefer this lovely warm colour. Again, it's to and fro. Again, the art is about recycling, about the environment. And the piece the painting I'm going to do is the local scene of the Tor Hill. And luckily we've got a beautiful day, so it's really dry, nice drying weather, and I've got this lovely nice, I'm under a beautiful tree, and I've got this nice lovely dappled light, so it's really ideal to paint this type of painting. This is stage 2. I'm going to use much darker paints now. Use blue. I'm using brown. Again, these are acrylic paints, and also a bit of red. As a rule, as an artist, I do not use black because that will completely kill off the painting. So, black and white in the artistic world are not colours, but I will not use black in any of my work because it messes it up. So now you can see the contrast between the light and cold colours. At the moment I'm using cold colours and warm colours. That's a very good relationship. I'm painting the foreground of the painting. Again, left to right brush strokes, gentle brush strokes, and if I put it on too hard, but I'm letting the wood, the surface of the wood react to the painting, so it gives the painting more feeling, more depth. So you can get the contrast between the two colours. I'm just going to start adding a bit to give the picture a bit more definition. I'm going to add into the Tor itself. What I might do I might add a bit more to the sky. So I'm using lovely warm colours, and this will be facing northeast, so the sun will start to rise from the northeast, and this will be probably June or July. So I'm painting a beautiful sunset rising over the Tor, adding that excitement to the painting, adding to Glastonbury's mystery and legends. This is some of the materials I am using. Again, there's grooves on that side, again grooves on this side of the wood. This will create different textures, different moods, different feelings of the painting. Again, this is an old window frame. This is an old tree log. Again, there's so many different facets, so many different outcomes. You can paint on this and it's got different textures. You've got the tree bark. On this one here is completely wasted stone. Again, it's a different surface to paint on, so sometimes you don't know the outcome, which is the best bit of the whole exercise. At the moment I'm basically using reds, oranges and blue. I'm going to create the sun at the moment to give it that a much more fierce. The painting is allowed to dry a bit more. So I'm putting on yellow to add more luminosity to the sky, give that a dramatic feel. And again, I'm using warm colours. I'm using a bit of red now to give that lovely Turner-esque feel to it. Again, as you see, I'm putting the paint on. You can see where the different surfaces are coming through, where the wood grains meeting the paint. So you're creating that different luminosity. I'm just painting around and about the tour. So as I add the colours, you get more distance and more depth of field. Now, I'm going to clean my brush in the water. Now I'm going to use much darker colours to give the painting more strength and more depth ability. I'm using purplish dark colours to make the painting stand out, so the tour really stands out and it's shouting to you. When you're using cold colours and warm colours, the warm colours pull you in, the cold colours pull you out, so you've got that relationship. And many artists use that technique. I'm going to paint the tower on the tour. I'm using my fingers there. So that's the world famous Glastonbury Tower. So it's really stark against this yellowy sky. So you've got that. I'm using my fingers to blend it in a little bit more, so you get the general idea. Okay, I'm going to put the sun in now, so that will be the focus. I'm using yellow and white. There you got a fiery, hot summer day. Now I'm going to add a bit more to the sky, give it a bit more dramatic feel to it. So again, I'm using warm colours to create that lovely warm Somerset feeling. I'm using my finger. The reason why I'm using my finger, I can rub it in harder. And you can see that through the zoom of the camera, you can see that I'm getting more and more details, more and more creativity in the painting. I've changed over to another painting to allow the other one to dry. Again, this is the final touches. In this composition, we're going to add some trees, give that painting a bit more depth and a bit more feeling. And also, as the painting's gone on, I've used my fingers to create fence posts. That's basically, when the paint is wet, I push my fingernails in hard, so it looks like old raggedy fences. Again, the painting, the texture is slightly different, but the grain of the wood is shining through the overall painting, giving a different texture, giving a different atmosphere. And in this one, I put a bit more white cloud to enhance the sky, and in the background you've got some trees, and I'm going to work on the trees now. I'm using a fan brush. It's slightly different. It's slightly finer. It gives you much more detail in the overall picture. So I'm going to use brown, red and yellow. And it should give that really strong depth of field. So I'm going to dab it on. So it's little dabbles. This is probably a willow tree which grows on the moors, and they're native to this part of the world, like box trees, ash trees, sycamore trees, and some of the materials I'm using will be from these types of trees. So it's a never-ending story. So it's recycling natural resources, but I'll make sure the trees are not live trees and it's being properly resourced and things like that. Being environmentally friendly, I'm using a recycled food container where there's curry in there, so again it's recycling, so normally in landfill, and these tools make really good palettes because it's watertight. As a tree rises above the horizon, you see much more detail and your eye is focused on the sunshine. In art terminology, that's what you call the vanishing point. It's where I'm not using a golden triangle at the moment, but the vanishing point, it draws your eye deeper and deeper into the picture. And it's infinity. You can look at it forever and forever and forever. Again, I'm a bit more work on the tree. Gradually dap. And so I'm going from the tree down to a hedge. Again, there's slightly lighter pale green, and as a rule, as an artist, I never use green from a tube because the green is too acidy, too strong, so I use yellow, blue and brown to create that lovely warm feeling. Sometimes I will use orange. There's quite a lot, so the greens are completely natural as possible. At the moment I'm working on the hedges. I'm not using much water, I'm using a really dark green type of colour. So this will allow this to dry, and again I will use lighter and lighter colours to give the picture more definition. But again, you can see the fence posts in the painting itself. Again, with this wood you've got the grain running right across from left to right, and you've got also tree rings, so you've got different moods in the sky from one part of the painting to the next. People in Glastonbury and Somerset do care about the environment, and so I'm hoping by using materials in the right way, and people buying this stuff, that people will think they've done a part to save the environment. I've added a bit more to the castle so it's more striking. I've put a bit more blue, strong brown so as the sun rises it's a much stronger silhouette. I'm going to put some trees to give the picture a little bit more definition. So I'm going to work on the Mendip Hills in the distance. So if I start putting some trees onto the tour, I'm using a different array of colours. So again, I'm using yellow, red, blue, purple, and dark brown to get that black feeling. But as in previous discussions, I try to avoid black because that will kill the painting off straight away. I'm not sure the reasons why for it. Strong dark green, it's almost bordering black, but it's not black, it's a really strong green. So I've used quite a lot of blue in that. I'm using a really fine brush. So I'm working on the distant background. So I'm using blobby dab type techniques. Again, it's a dark green, so you can see simple blobs, and now and then, as an artist, I will leave a little touch of orange against the tree, so your eyes almost draw into that. So the trees are not solid. There's always gaps in between trees. Sometimes artists will paint so there's no light, so you get the illusion that the trees are on fire. Again, it's little blobs. I'm using water to give it a bit more the paints a little bit more fluidity, which is a very difficult word to say when you're talking. I'm moving to the northeastern side of the tour. Again, I'm putting little blobs. That is drawing your eye deeper and deeper into the picture, so it's using the vanishing point. So again, I'm doing more trees and blobby dabby, so you can see there's more depth filled in the painting. There's much more feeling of distance. And posh word is degradation. So that in the foreground, the colours are really strong. As you get deeper and deeper and deeper, the colours come more bluish and much more lighter. So you've got that. It's like building a wall. So you're getting the pictures. You're getting drawn deeper and deeper into the painting. Especially this works on seascapes, landscapes, desertscapes and things like that. So again, I'm going back to the western side of the tour doing blobs. So you see, so the landscape is taking on much more of a structural feeling. To bring the picture even deeper, I'm going to work on the foreground. I'm using much lighter colours. I'm also dabbing my finger. So I'm building up a hedge along the thing here. I'm using much lighter paints, so you can see what I'm trying to do. If I use darker paints, you will not see what I'm trying to do, but I'm trying to make a hedge. First of all, the painting started off with simple washes. Now I'm adding much more material to the paintbrush. So you're starting to get some idea how a painting works. Again, I'm using recycled materials and cartons, plastic cartons, so I'm trying to be eco-friendly as possible. Again, now you can start to see where the hedges are building up. So I'm using light, dark, light, dark. So there's a lot more to do to the picture, but you get the general idea how I work. I'm using again a made-up green. So I'm using a very thin paintbrush. These are called rigger brushes. These That's a fan brush, so you can add a lot more to the painting, but this is adding much more detail. And the reason why they're called rigger brushes is because when you're painting ships, you got the rigging, so you use really fine brush, hence rigger brushes. So that's a bit of history for you. So at the moment, I'm dabbing on the colours. The painting has dried out, and also as the painting dries out, the grain of the wood is starting to really add quality to the picture. Again, the rings are, it shows the age of the tree or trees. So I'm dabbing painting onto the hedges. Again, I'm using this is the colour. These are the colours I'm using. Yellow, reds, different warm, cosy colours. Again, I'm dabbing onto the hedge, and also using a finger to give it a little bit more definition. And you can see the layers are gradually building and building and building. And sometimes you do a layer, then it would dry out, then you put another layer on, so you could put much as 4 or 5 layers onto an actual painting. And sometimes, if it's a big canvas, I may use up to 40, 50 different layers. And as the layers add on, they get gradually thicker and thicker and thicker. So you obviously use a lot more paint, and sometimes you use much bigger brushes. But this, I'm only using a tiny amount of paint. So the picture's starting to really light up now, and again, as I use these much lighter colours, again I'm using different brush strokes, and I'm loading up my paintbrush with fresh colours. Sometimes you do this every couple of minutes. Again, adding to the hedge, and to stop the because on a paint sometimes your eye will fall off the paint. So what I do is I'm going to grow a tree there. Again, this will be darkened a bit later. So I'm creating this tree on the right hand side of the paint. So your eye will stop. Your eye will suddenly, because if there's no tree there, your eye will fall off the paint, and the human eye is very lazy. So as an artist, as I mentioned before, you see the golden triangle. You've got the sun there, a tree there. You put a tree there. You've got like a triangle effect. So that's, photographers use these. My dear friend who's working with me, as a photographer, he will use the golden triangle, foreground, midground, and these rules are jump from one profession to the other profession. Now I'm coming to the end of this painting now, so I'm just dabbing on this tree and using my finger to create extra texture to the actual over painting. Again, you can see already the difference. You can see the difference as I made with a few brush strokes, how the painting is evolving on its own right. I hope you've enjoyed what I've done today, and I hope this has inspired you to use recyclable and sustainable stuff. And I think it's an important message, and it's nice to use local landscapes to bring this message across. So I hope you really enjoyed your time, and I hope I'll meet you sometime in Glastonbury or around the area, or definitely come to see one of my shows, especially in Wells or the Bishop Palace. That would be wonderful. Bye everybody.